In the dim glow of the office tower's 50th floor, where the city lights twinkled like distant stars below, Maria Gonzalez wiped sweat from her brow as she pushed her mop across the marble floor. It was past midnight, and the building was empty, or so she thought. A single mom to a bright-eyed 6-year-old named Lily, Maria juggled 2 jobs to keep food on the table and dreams alive. But tonight, fate had other plans. As she turned the corner into the executive suite, she froze. There, slumped against his massive oak desk, was Alexander Hart, the billionaire CEO whose face graced every business magazine. His skin was pale, his lips blue, he wasn't breathing. Without a second thought, Maria dropped her bucket and rushed to his side. Her CPR training from years ago kicked in. She tilted his head back, pinched his nose, and pressed her lips to his, breathing life into him. 1 breath, 2, then compressions. Sirens wailed in the distance as paramedics arrived, but it was her kiss that had pulled him back from the brink. Little did she know, that desperate act would shatter her world and rebuild it in ways she never imagined. Maria's life had never been easy. Raised in a cramped apartment in the Bronx, she dreamed of becoming a nurse, but life derailed her when she got pregnant at 19. Her boyfriend, Tony, bolted the moment Lily was born, leaving Maria to scrape by on minimum wage. Now 28, she worked days at a diner and nights as a janitor at Hart Enterprises, the gleaming empire built by Alexander's ruthless ambition. Alexander, on the other hand, was the epitome of success, or so the world believed. At 35, he'd amassed a fortune in tech innovations, but his personal life was a void. Divorced from a loveless marriage arranged for business, he buried himself in work, ignoring the heart condition his doctors warned him about. That night, stress had triggered a cardiac arrest. When he awoke in the hospital, the first face he saw wasn't a doctor's, it was Maria's, peeking through the door with worry etched on her features. "Miss Gonzalez," the doctor said later, "you saved his life." That mouth-to-mouth resuscitation bought him crucial minutes. Alexander, groggy but grateful, insisted on meeting her properly. Maria hesitated, she wasn't used to attention from men like him. But when he summoned her to his room, his piercing blue eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her heart skip. "You didn't just save me," he whispered. "You reminded me what it feels like to be alive." Maria blushed, mumbling about it being no big deal. She had to get home to Lily, who was with a neighbor. But Alexander wasn't one to let go easily. He arranged for her to have the day off, with pay, and sent a car to take her home. As she stepped into her tiny apartment, cluttered with Lily's toys and unpaid bills, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. The next day, flowers arrived, dozens of roses, with a note, "Dinner? To thank you properly. Alex." Maria stared at it, her hands trembling. Dinner with a billionaire? It sounded like a fairy tale, but her reality was far from it. Lily tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy, who's Alex? Is he your prince?" Maria laughed it off, but inside, doubt gnawed at her. What if he pitied her? Or worse, what if this was just a fleeting whim for a man who could buy anything? Still, curiosity, and a spark of hope, won out. She accepted. Their first dinner was at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city, a place Maria had only seen in movies. Alexander arrived in a tailored suit, but his smile was genuine, vulnerable. He shared stories of his lonely childhood, how his parents' wealth isolated him, turning him into a workaholic machine. "I've built empires," he admitted, "but I've never built a life." Maria opened up too, tears welling as she spoke of Lily's father abandoning them, the endless nights worrying about rent, and her dream deferred of nursing school. "I clean up after people like you," she said softly, "but I do it for her. For us." Alexander reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "You're stronger than anyone I know," he said. In that moment, amidst the candlelight and soft jazz, a connection bloomed, raw, unexpected, and real. But fairy tales have dragons, and theirs came swiftly. Word of their dinner leaked to the tabloids, courtesy of a nosy waiter. Headlines screamed, "Billionaire savior, janitor or gold digger?" Alexander's ex-wife, Victoria, a socialite with a vendetta, fueled the fire, whispering to reporters about Maria's opportunistic motives. At work, Maria's co-workers whispered behind her back, some jealous, others warning her of heartbreak. Worst of all, Tony reappeared, sniffing opportunity. He showed up at her door, demanding custody of Lily unless she shared any windfall from Alexander. "You owe me," he snarled. Maria's world crumbled. She confronted Alexander in his office, tears streaming. "This isn't real. We're from different worlds. They'll tear us apart." Alexander pulled her into his arms. "Let them try. I've fought bigger battles." The challenges mounted. Alexander's board of directors pressured him, claiming the scandal damaged the company's image. "She's a liability," they argued in heated meetings. Alexander stood firm, but the stress exacerbated his heart issues, landing him back in the hospital. Maria visited daily, bringing Lily, who charmed him with drawings of Mommy's Hero. Seeing them together, Alexander realized what he'd been missing: family, love, purpose. Meanwhile, Maria faced her own demons. Tony filed for custody, using her long hours as ammunition. Broke and terrified, she confided in Alexander, who offered to hire the best lawyers. "No," she insisted. "I won't be your charity case." But as Lily clung to her, sobbing about "Daddy taking me away," Maria swallowed her pride. Together, they fought back. In court, Alexander testified, not as a billionaire, but as a man changed by Maria's kindness. "She saved my life twice. Once with her breath, once with her heart." The judge, moved by their story, ruled in Maria's favor, exposing Tony's abandonment. Victoria's smears backfired when old emails revealed her own manipulations. The board backed off after Alexander threatened to step down, realizing his passion had reignited the company's innovation. Slowly, the tide turned. Maria enrolled in nursing school, funded by a scholarship Alexander quietly established, not for her, but for single parents like her. They dated openly, blending their worlds, picnics in the park with Lily, galas where Maria shone in borrowed gowns. One evening, under the same city lights where it all began, Alexander proposed on the 50th floor. "You kissed me back to life," he said, kneeling. "Will you let me build a life with you?" Maria, tears of joy flowing, said yes. They married in a simple ceremony, with Lily as flower girl. Alexander adopted her, giving Maria the family she deserved. He scaled back work, founding a foundation for underprivileged workers. Maria graduated as a nurse, her dream realized. Years later, as they watched Lily graduate high school, Maria reflected on that fateful night. From janitor to beloved wife, her journey proved that one act of courage could rewrite destinies. Love doesn't care about bank accounts or backgrounds, it thrives on kindness, resilience, and second chances. And there you have it, folks. The incredible story of how a single mom's selfless act changed everything. If this tale touched your heart, hit that like button to show some love, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories that remind us miracles happen every day. What's your takeaway from Maria and Alexander's journey? Drop it in the comments below, I'd love to hear.